Are you a Gen Z or Millennial Catholic looking to get a handle on your dating life in 2025? Well, if so, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about how to not just survive in the Catholic dating space in 2025 and beyond. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Laura Jean. I am the founder of Let's Be Saints Co., where I help young Catholics flourish in the seasons that they're in and to build really strong marriages that last a lifetime. And something that I get asked quite a bit is how I got into what I do. So I want to share with you a little bit of a story today about how this all came about. And it first started when I was studying in grad school. I was studying abroad in Vienna, Austria, and I was studying marriage and family theology. And I absolutely loved studying theology, the faith, and especially how it relates to the human person, like how we fit into all of it. And more so, even how can we act and build our lives in a way that honors how God created us, because that to me was the key that unlocked the most flourishing that we can achieve in this lifetime. So I went in studying these topics, and what I found kind of shocked me, especially as someone who grew up in the church, grew up in the faith, learning all about it and growing up in a really great Catholic home and community. Because some of what I was learning was like far beyond what I grew up learning. And I had this intuition. I knew that if I had known this earlier on, I would have made a few different decisions in how I lived, because when I was learning it, I was deciding, hey, I'm going to live a little bit differently. I'm going to live with a little bit more intention and see where this gets me. It was a little bit shocking to me just how intentional we have to be in order to live our lives and flourish, especially as someone who was just going off on her own as a young adult. This idea of intentionality was a little bit foreign to me, and no one was really teaching it at the time. And so when I found it, I just kind of latched on and I was like, let's take this for a spin and see how this goes. Also, while I was studying, I learned about this battle of marriage and the family in the world today. And I learned a lot about the history of it, how it's always been a thing, but especially how it was kind of manifesting in its modern ways. Because what I found was that what I was learning with the truths of our faith and all of the good stuff in there was a lot of times in contradiction to what was shown in the world today. You know, broken families, divorce left and right, and the children bearing the effects of these separations. And I saw how societies have crumbled because the family unit has been so weak and has crumbled time and time again. And so learning this, I was also reminded of kind of the big human fault that I find that says essentially like, we know better and we can find a better solution. And if this sounds familiar, it's because that is exactly what the serpent tempted Adam and Eve with in the garden. That, hey, you want to know the difference between good and evil? You can, decide these things, take this fruit and of the tree of the good of knowledge of good and evil, and you too can have this understanding. And so really this is at the root of a lot of it. And we have this pride as human beings to say, you want to know what? I think I might have a better solution than what is literally imprinted in our beings. And this is where we get to the world that we live in today. And maybe you felt a little bit of that pressure, whether that's in the culture or in just the world in general before. Maybe you felt this with the need for instant gratification that is everywhere nowadays, right? Well, learning all of this, it kind of lit a fire inside of me, and one that I knew that I wanted to be in this battle for marriage and the family. I knew how important it was, and I really felt like this was kind of the space in which the Lord was calling me to dedicate my life. But I didn't exactly know where I fit in, because I found myself in these classes learning these amazing things, sitting next to priests, seminarians, married couples, and engaged couples. And as a single woman myself, I was questioning, like, what am I doing here? Like, it felt so right, felt like I couldn't be anywhere else. But also, why? Why was I there? And in that moment, I knew a couple things to be true. One, I knew that this is exactly where I needed to be. Two, I knew that it was changing how I was going to live the rest of my life, truly. And number three, it had something to do with my contribution to the world. Now, while I was doing some research for a project, I learned a startling statistic that really made everything fall into place for me. And that was the statistic that said that 80% of couples that end in divorce, or their marriages failed, that it failed because they didn't know what they were getting into. And once I heard this, light bulbs were going off in my mind. And I was thinking to myself, there's a clear solution to this and something that I can potentially help with. And that solution was better preparation for this marriage, because it will do two things. Number one, it will help not only prepare the couple for what to expect, but number two, give them the tools necessary to handle the difficult situations that might come up, that will come up throughout a relationship and a marriage. Plus, as someone who wasn't married yet and was receiving this preparation, I could see how life-changing it was for me, even as a single woman. And this life-changing preparation, I knew, was going to be so influential for my life, and I couldn't help but think that other people in my situation might find the same help of this preparation, not only for the season of life that they're in, because when diving into all of this, found that I flourished in my personal and in my spiritual life. And so I knew that other people might also benefit from these things, this preparation, to also flourish in their personal and spiritual lives. And so I kind of thought, this might be my mission. This might be the thing that I can do to stand up, turn around, and literally hand on what I had been given. So I had the idea to dive in and dedicate my life to handing on this information to people who were in a similar situation as me and people who were preparing for their marriages. And so that is exactly what I have done. Now, this formation is so unique because it not only helps the individual and the couples flourish in the season that they're in right now, but it also prepares them and helps them flourish in the seasons to come. And that combination is just so important for the duration and the longevity of a relationship and the flourishing of the human person in general. So I took a leap of faith, started my business, and started handing on this information that I was given, but in a little bit more of a digestible way. Because I don't know about you, but not everyone wants to spend 2 years in grad school learning philosophy and theology and reading these ancient texts. So I set out to make something that could fit into someone's daily life and really give them the most transformation for the time that they had available. And here's what I know to be true through my studies and through my work, is that our faith, our Catholic faith, holds the blueprint for human flourishing. Now let's break that down a little bit, because sometimes I think that can be a little bit confusing to people. So when we talk about a blueprint, it's kind of like a path or a series of steps to help you get to your desired outcome. And if you think about other places that blueprints are used, you usually think about like buildings, like architects create this blueprint for a building, right? And in it, you can look at the blueprint and it's kind of like a bird's eye view, where you can see everything. You can see how it's laid out. You can see the best way to get from A to B. And you can also see maybe what's hidden around a corner. And I don't know about you, but as a young adult, I sometimes ask myself the question, isn't there a plan for this? Like, what is my next step? And maybe you've asked yourself that same question. You know, you grow up and there's kind of like a series of things you do. You know, you go from one grade to the next and it's kind of out there for you. But then you become an adult and suddenly you just have to make all of these decisions yourself. And now a really cool thing about that and about the way that we were created is that we have free will. And that is so cool. But it also takes a lot of intention and discipline to make sure that we're using that to get to where we want to go. And while it takes some trial and error and a lot of hard work to get to where you want to go, there also is some blueprint for our lives that can help us figure out exactly how we are to thrive in any particular path that we choose to go down. Now, this blueprint is vital, in my opinion, to living a life that you're thriving in whatever season that you may find yourself in. Now, just as a blueprint for a home has a creator, the architect, who writes it, and if the plans are not built to the specified elements that the architect laid out, the building is compromised. It is at risk of deteriorating, being unsteady, or even implosion. And just as the architect is the creator of this blueprint for a building, we have a creator, our Lord, who built us with a blueprint in much the same way. And if we build our lives according to this blueprint, we can flourish. Now, flourishing is closely related to thriving. And if you know what that word means, you know kind of the essence behind it. And it means to develop rapidly and successfully. I see flourishing as having a deep peace at where you're at in life and having like this outward look so that you can have enough energy to help others in need and make things just more beautiful, as well as being able to be present and have hope in the future. Now, this sounds like something that you want, doesn't it? Well, I have dedicated my life to helping you achieve these same things that I've been able to achieve. This flourishing is so possible for you. I am here to help you achieve flourishing in the season that you're in and in the season to come, specifically to help build really strong, lifelong marriages. Now, full transparency, I'm not in this vocation yet. I am still a young Catholic single woman myself, much like a lot of you. But what I do know is that this is my calling. I also know that it has changed how I live my life. I live more intentionally, and I have seen how this flourishing can take hold of my life. And I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't go back. Once I took seriously this blueprint that God made me with, I was able to focus on becoming the person that He created me to be and flourish in the life that He created me to lead. And I, for one, am glad to be on this journey so that I can turn around and hand on this same information that I received that changed my life to you and help you achieve this flourishing now and in the seasons to come. And I want you to know that this flourishing is possible for you in your personal life and in your dating life, where your goals can be aligned to the way that you're showing up in the dating space. If this is something that is interesting to you, I invite you to follow along. Hit the subscribe button because there are going to be many more videos like this helping you dive deeper and learn how to become the person that God created you to be for the life He created you to lead. Flourishing is so possible for you. I'm cheering for you.